And a good morning to you all, and welcome to the starting lineup. Delighted to have you with us on an absolutely beautiful Wednesday in the Ozarks. Ned Reynolds joined by
Scott Purrier.
And for the next 2 hours, we are right here talking sports and whatever, and like to hear from you at 417-447-1021. That's both the phone line and the text line. They are synonymous, same one. Hey, if you want to talk to us, fine. If you want to text us, fine as well. 447-1021. Starting lineup is brought to you by Play It Again Sports in the Fremont Shopping Center, Battlefield in Fremont, Springfield. Everything you could possibly want in the world of sports is right there at Play It Again Sports. Brought to you by Swing Right Golf at the south end of Campbell Avenue, a little bit north of Nixa, and you have everything right there to help you and your game. The simulator inside is beautiful. Play whatever course you want to play, and you have the outdoor batting cages, and you have so much more at Swing Right Golf. Citizens Bank of Rogersville with two routes. That's what they call their branches, routes. One is adjacent to Highland Springs, and the other is in Rogersville itself. And by Marshfield Chevrolet, at the I-44 exit, a couple of left turns, and you're there at Marshfield Chevrolet. Lots going on in the sports world. Baseball, of course, and football is right on the horizon, but the announcement last night probably was the biggie.
Yeah, that got people stirred up a little bit on social media, checking both Twitter/X and Facebook, and we've got Dan Reiter coming on at 7:20. He warned us yesterday we may want him back on today, and he was right. So, but Dan Reiter, the GM of the Springfield Cardinals, is going to come on and talk about the announcement last evening that they are going to rebrand and change the name of the team, and it has already been determined what that name is, and we'll find out on October 6th. So had a press conference to announce a press conference.
In a sense, that's what they did, yeah. A press conference to announce another event forthcoming. Now, I do understand the reasoning behind that, and they want the promotions to go right through the end of the season.
Well, and Dan made an interesting point that kind of got lost in the shuffle yesterday, that they announced this back in March, that they were going to do this on this timeline, and people just kind of got lost in the shuffle. I think part of it is that people lost their minds yet last night because it's 4 months after you've renamed the stadium. And I think for people in an area that doesn't like change, it just was a bit much for them to process.
It's been a whole year of changes.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so Dan Reiter's going to join us at 7:20 to talk about that announcement. We'll get more in detail on that with him. 7:35, Kelly Richardson, the new head volleyball coach at Drury University. They open up at home this weekend. We'll talk to Kelly with a season preview on the Panthers. 8 o'clock, John Perry, head coach at Nixa football. They've got a big one to kick off the season. Carthage coming to Nixa on Friday night, probably arguably our two top coming into the season from the large school area teams with Nixa and Carthage. And we'll talk to John Perry about his Eagles this fall. And then 8:30, we catch up with our old friend Scott Bales in our Ozarks Legends series on Wednesdays. Haven't heard from Bales in a while. He's moved to Colorado. Nobody knows what he's doing. I don't think he's got a dispensary out there or anything, does he?
No. It's nothing like that. I think he does some substitute teaching in school. His wife is a school principal. Yeah. And he's done some TV work as well. Yeah,
guy kind of went out there to be closer to family and grandkids and all that. So we'll catch up with Bales at 8:30. You'll hear me call him Bales, and he'll call me Purr. It's been going on since 1981 at the Bears Den at Missouri State. So catching up with Scott.
I won't tell you what he called me off the air.
I can imagine some of those names. Excuse me. Sad note affected us locally and nationally yesterday, the passing of Dolly Parton at age 80 after a short bout with cancer. Just one of the legends in country music and really in life. I mean, and of course, locally, the tie with the Dolly Parton was the Dixie Stampede, now just the Dolly Parton Stampede. But one of our avid listeners, I know John Richardson, worked for Dolly for years and years down there, and nothing but great things to say about her as a person and a boss.
And John has said that on many occasions, that she was right there and willing to help at all costs. When I came to work at KY3, which will be 60 years ago next year, one of the first shows that KY3 had, and it was a staple every Saturday, was Porter Wagoner and Dolly Parton.
Really?
And they were on there. It was always a half-hour country western show, and she was always so super, but then made it in the movies so big. 9 to 5 was really super.
Yeah.
And singing the songs.
The songs and, her duets with Kenny Rogers, things like that. Just a legend and big heart. She gave a lot to charity and kids and of course with her theaters in Branson and Pigeon Forge, and just a sad note yesterday to see that come across. I didn't know she was sick. I think that the family had rightfully so been very private about it. And
you saw something was happening when she canceled her events in Las Vegas. She had a whole slew of engagements out there and canceled them through the latter part, well, actually through September of 2026, which, of course, won't be honored now. But the fact of the matter remains that, I think she was suffering but kept it quiet.
Yeah, Islands in the Stream it escaped me there, her duet with Kenny. And we sing that on New Year's Eve every year at a friend's party for karaoke, and it's very bad when we do it. She did it a lot better with Kenny, but Dolly Parton passes at age 80. Leads into our starting five, brought to you by Smouse Brothers Foundation Repair and Waterproofing. If you've been thinking your house may be sinking, get a Smouse under your house. They'll check that out for you and make it sure that your 3-level home is not a 1-level home by the end of the year. So give Smouse Brothers a call there. Talked about the big press conference, Springfield Cardinals yesterday. We'll have more thoughts before and after. We'll get Art's thoughts in the second hour when he comes on. But I posted something on Facebook. You'd kind of tipped me off yesterday morning to what it might be, and the reasoning behind it. I get it. I get why they're doing it. It does seem like a lot with the renaming of the stadium back in April, and that hit a lot of nerves with the Hammonds Field thing.
It's a little different, though, Scott, because that was an arbitrary decision.
Yeah.
This one, I think, comes from the owners, Diamond Sports.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people...
Hold on a second. But the arbitrary one, I still have issues with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that the St. Louis Cardinals don't own the team here anymore. So Diamond Baseball Holdings bought it back in 2023. I did some research last night going through to AA and AAA. There are only 3 of 60 teams that still maintain the nickname or moniker of their parent club. I mean, the thing now is merchandising and sell and sell and sell. And when you got team names like the Trash Pandas and the Blue Wahoos and the Sod Poodles and things like that, they're going to sell because they're unique and they don't tie you in with one organization. There was a frequently asked questions thing that the Cardinals put out about this yesterday. I thought it was very well done, where Dan Reiter, I'm sure, wrote most of the material, but it said Cardinals aren't going anywhere. I mean, their relationship with Springfield is very good, and obviously the St. Louis Cardinals love the situation that they've got both their AAA and AA teams a 3-hour car drive away. Think about the Dodgers. Their 2 teams are in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Right. It's a big benefit for St. Louis to continue that relationship. So they're not going anywhere, but Springfield's just kind of doing what everybody else has done now, and that's rebrand, try to get an influx of new interest and sell some things, and then move forward, and then you're not tied in if something did happen where there was a shakeup with affiliation.
I think you just articulated that pretty well. The player relationship remains the same. The working agreement, I think that's got another 10, 15 years to go, so it will remain in place. But the team name and so forth and so on apparently is going to be a little bit more oriented toward where we are. Now, what that's going to be, who knows? I think the name's probably already been decided.
It has been. They did announce that it has been determined that they wanted to get it done so they can focus on kind of a swan song tour for Springfield Cardinals name in the last 2 homestands, this one and then the one coming up in September, of course, before what should be a playoff, some playoff games here as well. But October 6th, that will be revealed at another press conference. They've done these things with the Springfield Cashew Chickens and the Snipe Hunters, and those were kind of temporary. Let's capitalize on here and there every now and then doing that and selling some merchandise. So we'll talk to Dan Reiter more about that at 7:20 when he comes up. A good night to not think about the St. Louis Cardinals last night as they decided not to show up for their opener at home against the Baltimore Orioles. They fall 13-1. Baltimore scores 4 in the third off Matthew Liberatore. Then they get 8 runs in the fifth. And Chase Liberatore, his ERA now is 5.44. And you're going to have some decisions to make with some young guys at Memphis and some guys up top and see who's going to be in that rotation for next year.
When Liberatore is on his game, he can be very tough. He has a breaking pitch and a sweeper and so forth and so on, and he is a lefty. And when he gets the sinker and all that working, it's fine. When it isn't working, bombs away. And I saw that last night. I got to thinking, too, who is the perpetrator of all of this? Pete Alonso. And the New York Mets fans were up in arms when the Mets let him go as a free agent, and he signs with Baltimore. They, hey, what are you doing letting go of our big slugger? Bingo. They're 4 for 4 last night with 4 RBIs. And here's Jackson Holliday, Matt Holliday's son, coming in with the trio of hits in this one as well. Boy, Baltimore 13-1. Gracious.
Yeah, Pete Alonso, 31st home run. He got off to a slow start in Baltimore, and he's done that, though, throughout his career. Has really come on the last 2 to 3 months here. But Liberatore, very unique line. I don't know how many pitchers could strike out 7 in a game and allow 8 runs. That probably doesn't happen a lot. So he had stuff to get people out and send them back to the dugout.
That's just it, though. He does have it to batters who are not accustomed to facing the breaking pitches, but he may be chipping his pitches off somewhere along the line because the veteran hitters are having success with him.
Christian Encarnacion Strand, the former Oklahoma State Cowboy, had a 450-foot home run in that one. He was the guy that came up with the Reds, and they let him walk, and the Orioles have said, hey, we'll take him, we'll play him, and he's doing a good job here since he's been up with them. Game 2 tonight, Kyle Bradish and Michael McGreevy. McGreevy's been kind of off and on here, pitching to contact a lot, and it's been a lot of contact, and so we'll see where Game 2 goes with the Cardinals and the Orioles. Royals stay hot. They pick up their 9th straight win. They knock off the Jays 5-3 to open that series in Toronto. Seth Lugo allows just 1 run in 5 innings. Royals just kind of pecked away at this one off Max Scherzer and the Toronto bullpen. Scherzer actually pitched pretty well for given some of the results he's had this year. Allowed 4 hits and 2 runs in 5 innings, but the Royals had enough offense, and Lugo shut the Blue Jays down enough to get the win. Royals without Jack Caglione for a second straight game. He's got an ankle injury right now he's trying to fight through and play through. So.
But they do have Vinny Pasquantino back in there, and he is contributing quite a bit, as is Bobby Wood Jr. While he didn't have any hits last night, he did have a couple of walks, and I think the pitching of Seth Lugo was the big deal. But leading 5-0, or 5-1, I should say, into the 9th inning, and then holding off the Blue Jays, that's the big deal.
Still trying to figure out that back end with Steven Cruz and Nate Pearson, a guy they actually picked up off the scrap heap that Toronto had given up on. He's pitched well. He got the hold last night for the Royals. Game 2 tonight, Randy Dobnak against TBD for Toronto in the second game of that series. Springfield Cardinals had the big announcement at 6 o'clock. Then they went out and put their stars on showcase last night in the organization. They opened up their 6-game homestand versus San Antonio with an 8-0 win last night at Route 66 Stadium. It was Reniel Rodriguez and Liam Doyle taking the headlines. Rodriguez has another 2-homer game. That's back-to-back games with 2 homers now. Liam Doyle improved to 5-7 on the year. He's pitched a strong 5 1/3 innings there. Scoreless, allowed 4 hits, struck out 6, and walked only 1. His ERA now is below 4 for the first time all year. So Liam Doyle kind of doing what they thought he'd do.
So you bring in your relief corps, and of course they had San Antonio is not a very good team, and indeed the Cardinals shut them out 8-0. But the big deal is Reniel Rodriguez with those couple of home runs. This kid's a star player, folks, and he's going to be a major force with his team. I do think. And this is just a guess, I do think the big club says, hey, stay down there for the playoffs. You'll get a little bit of playoff experience, and that'll help. But after this, he won't be here next year.
No, you better go see him while you can because he's going to – and I think you could say the same for Jesus Baez with his what he's done in Springfield, and he'll deserve a look in Memphis next year too. But Rodriguez, by the way, named the Texas League Player of the Week for the second time since he's been up in Springfield. It said leading all qualified Texas League batters with a 324 average since he's been in Double-A, and, of course, adding the power to that as well. Let's see. We got time to squeeze in a couple more before we go to break and have Dan Reiter on the other side. The FedEx Cup championship, of course, tees off tomorrow down at East Lake in Atlanta. The PGA Tour announces yesterday a big format change for that event starting in 2028, including it'll basically become a golf version of the World Cup soccer. It'll be a 3-week process where you'll have, I believe, the top 90 guys start out playing in it. You have a stroke play format of it. Then you cut down to some four guy round robin pool play before you ultimately decide these two guys are playing for first, these two guys are playing for third, and a little complicated, but the PGA Tour is trying to make something interesting happen in the month of August and September to try to stay relevant when football starts taking over in the minds of sports.
Also change the courses. The final is not going to necessarily be at East Lake. It may turn out to be the case, but they'll move it from East Lake after next year. And that presents in and of itself a change because you might have Bill Reeve. I thought Bill Reeve played pretty good on the FedEx tournament up there last weekend. 17 under par won it, but it was a challenging course for them.
Well, and had 150,000 people show up, and that's what the PGA Tour likes to see is the attendance and the interest in a city like that. Did see where there may be 2 or 3 different sites on this starting out in the actual one event. You know, they'll go to multiple sites for those early stroke play and match play rounds, and then come to one site for the end of it there. So a lot of that's still to be ironed out. Did see that Sports Business Journal reported the L.A. Country Club, Sleepy Hollow in New York are among those that are being considered for the season-ending event starting in 2028 as well. A couple quick Chiefs notes. Had a scare yesterday. We still don't know all the details, but Kenneth Walker III held out of practice nursing a foot injury. Interesting because he did practice on Monday, but this thing popped up apparently yesterday. Our guy Matt Derrick broke the news through Chiefs Digest on social media. This is what you worry about with Walker. You invest heavily in him. He's a guy that's had trouble playing a full season because of aches and pains, and it's usually hamstrings or quads or ankles or knees or something with him, lower body. Bears watching what happens the rest of training camp with the Chiefs.
Chiefs also make a deal very late last night. Get a 7th-round draft choice of a couple of years ago from the New York Giants to help out with depth on the offensive line. And Scott, I'll tell you that has me a little bit concerned, as I think it does the Chiefs. Why are you doing something late in the season? Well, they've had a tip-off somewhere along the line, or at least the front office has, that not everything is getting accomplished on that offensive line in regards to protecting, or what they will have to do to protect Patrick Mahomes when he gets in there. So the new, is it Eluzu? Is that how his name?
Izudu, I think.
Izuzu?
Izudu, I think. It ends with a D-U. There.
Whatever it is, he's 6'4", 310, did not play at all last year, had a calf injury, and that knocked him out of competition. But apparently the Chiefs feel that he could be the answer on the O-line in terms of depth.
Yeah, Trey Smith's been banged up. They've had to hold him out of practice with a hip injury, had to shuffle guys around. I think it's exactly that, just a depth piece to see what who he can fill in here, kind of a Jose Oquendo on the line type thing. That when they need to plug him in, they can plug him in. Jamar Chase of the Bengals goes down with a knee injury in practice, limps off the field, but said, quote, "If I had a game tomorrow, I'd play." So that's good news for Bengals fans. And then one other note before we go to break, the Big Ten and the SEC both came out and said we are not taking guys or girls who've signed pro contracts coming back to play college ball.
There is a bit of a caveat to that because the judge, honestly, the judge is coming up. Where is your common sense? Anyway, there's a restraining order allowing those 2 players to perhaps go back to LSU, but I think that is going to change.
And that's what I wonder is what's to keep state courts now ruling, again, a temporary restraining order to get those kids into play. And you ask how it happens because that judge probably has an LSU banner in his front yard and feels the pressure to keep his judge role in that state if he doesn't rule in their favor there. So let's take a timeout, come back, and talk to Dan Reiter.
This is the starting lineup. Back in just a second. Back with the starting lineup and a special guest.
Special guest on the line with us. Created some news waves across the Ozarks last night with the press conference at 6 o'clock. We said he warned us yesterday. We may want to have him back on today, and we do. He's Dan Reiter, the Vice President GM of the Springfield Cardinals. Dan, is it true or not that you are going to change your own name in November of this year to Dan Reiter to something else?
Yeah. Well, I did try to, when we got married, I asked my wife if I could sell advertising on the back of my head. So she said no to that one.
That'd be a great billboard, by the way. Yeah, that's a great idea. Dan, former Cardinal or something like that, but it could be the name change. But big news last night, and you guys have been kind of sitting on this. It's already been predetermined, but Springfield Cardinals name going away. Starting next season, October 6th is the press conference date that you do reveal the new name. Kind of take us through the process of when this all started and became a thing for your organization.
Yeah, it's been a process for several years, and this is something people are going to have feelings on it, and I had them. And I think the first time that the idea was brought up, my gut reaction was similar to I think some people that are reacting now and just like, absolutely not. And I said absolutely not for a while. And kind of the longer that it was able to think about it, the more you started seeing the why. And I think that's when I took the time to really understand it, to see why other teams were doing it. And then we kind of had some instances with legal that kind of, to me, was like the final decision making. That's like, okay, we were wanting, and honestly, we were wanting to do a giveaways this year, and we were told no. We were like, well, those marks are too close, and so you're not allowed to. And I don't think it was anyone, trying to personally hate us or doing it, but it was kind of the reality of, I think that when we were going through that process to get approvals, it really was the final, like, okay, this is why teams are doing it. This is why I think it's going to be better for our organization. So this has been multiple years in the making, and it's something that, as much as I like to go fast and I'm pro change, this has been the most conservative approach to any decision I've ever had to make in my career.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but the key here is that the St. Louis Cardinals do not own this franchise anymore. It's Diamond Sports. Is that correct? Is that where the diversity comes in?
They do. Diamond Baseball Holdings is our owner. But that's where I think that it wasn't forced. It was something like they showed us why teams were doing it. We started looking at the numbers. And every team that has rebranded, that's been, whether it's been they were a different team name, but especially the ones that were owned by the big league clubs, it's pretty universal. They wish they had done it 10 years earlier. And I think when I was able to talk to some of those people and to see the why behind it, I think that's kind of what made me kind of soften my stance, to be able to have the time. But Ned, I think the key to this is that we're still the AA Cardinals affiliate. We are still going to have the Cardinals prospects, and we're still going to be in downtown Springfield. And those are the things that when we talk to our staff, like, we think the two most important things to tell people are that we are still the Cardinals AA team, and we are still going to be here. And the reality of it is that, I think there's definitely a shock value, and that's fair, that I understand people are surprised by it. But the reality is most things aren't changing. The way that our staff goes about it, the way that we want to provide value, the way we go about entertainment, the way that we operate a business, it's not changing who we are. And I think that's the part that, I think people are surprised by it, but it's like, the reality is, like, most things about who we are as an organization, what we do in the community, those things aren't changing. The name and the logo will, but who we are, who we represent, having the Cardinals prospects, those are all things that are not changing. And
I think you understand this because you've lived there forever too, but it's an area that doesn't like change, and we like things to continue week to week, month to month, year to year, like they have been. And I think the reaction in a lot of cases was simply the stadium name change back in April, this coming up now, the two pretty close together. But it sounds like this was out well ahead of the decision to make the change in the name of the stadium, correct?
Correct. Well ahead.
Yeah.
And really that totally different projects. The fact that it kind of all came together in the same year, is honestly more coincidence. And you are right. People adverse to change. And I think there's some people that love it, probably 1 in 20 comments is like, well, yeah, this is natural. Why haven't they done it? Yeah. Other people are like, they need time. And they need to be able to do this, but they were separate in the decision making. And it's more just coincidental that it all happened in the same year.
Now, the key is, again, October the 6th. That'll be the naming, yes. And that's when, am I correct in assuming the new name has already been decided?
It has. And this is the part where, what we're explaining to people is like, hey, this is, there is so much that goes into this with trademark search, licensing, or your logo is going to be able to be approved. And it's something that we haven't said about like the Route 66 Stadium, but one of our designs that we thought we'd be utilizing with Route 66 Stadium, they told us no. So we had to go back to the drawing board because it's a process. So the idea of being able to just, magically do it and it's in the legal world, it does take that lead time. And that's where, you guys know me. I've been there for 22 years. I'm on community boards. I volunteer to coach youth sports. I'm out in the concourse talking to fans. Like I'm engaged in this community and I understand our community. And I think that, when we started looking at if we want to do this and then what it's going to be called, our community is 100% like a part of that decision making and who we are. And I think right now, between now and October 6th, I think it's a good cooling down period. Because I think that gap, I could have introduced the best team name and logo in the history of sports yesterday, and I would have gotten just murdered for it. And so I think that this cooling down period, it's going to see it. And I would hope, we've tried to do a lot of good in the community for these last 22 years. And my hope is to say, hey, give us a chance. And on October 6th, when you see it, hey, I'd love to hear the opinions, figure out what we can do to do it. But I think people, when they see this on October 6th, I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised. And I think this kind of 6-week cool down period will be good for everybody too.
Well, that partially answers the next question. This is subjective on your part. When that name is announced, Dan Reiter expects what from the public?
Relief. I think if you said, I think that when they do it, and Guy, I love doing zany stuff. It's who I am. I love playing jokes with friends and family. And, I love joking around like this. But this is the most conservative approach to any project I think I've ever had in my life, because I think that it needed to be because of understanding what the team means to people and what it means to the community. It's something that did not take this decision lightly. When we went through it, it had to be right or we weren't going to do it. And I think when people see it, I think that, Ned, that's a great question. I think that they're going to feel relief.
Dan, when was the name finalized and who was in the decision-making process? Was there a committee and how long had they been kind of mulling over a potential name?
Yeah, so first of all, we didn't just make it up. We did hire an outside company that's experienced in renaming sports franchises. And so they helped us go about this, to ask us questions, understand it. But we did have a group of us that were in there. And here's what I would say, and I mean this, is that if people think it's a bad idea, then it was my decision alone. If people think it was a good idea, it was a great team effort. And I'm okay with that. And I just think that's a part of it, that whenever it gets launched, I do think there'll be some relief. And that's, kind of one thing we said yesterday in the press conference. I just say, hey, please, for the next few weeks, like, if you can pause on passing the judgment, let's just pause. Let's see what it is. Because I do think the important thing is, I really hope that fans get the opportunity to celebrate over the next 2 homestands, and they can be a part of it. Because Cardinals fans, man, they love a good retirement. And you see what happened with Pujols and Yachty and Wainwright. And I think when that happened, it was because people got to say goodbye. And, when you look at how most sports teams announce a rebrand, a lot of them do it in like off season. And to me, that just didn't seem right. I think if you're going to do it, I wanted to stand out there, tell people, we're going to have a signing wall that fans can go and they can sign a thing that's going to have Springfield Cardinals logos that we want to have in the stadium moving forward. But I felt it was important to tell people in season so that people could have the closure. They could be a part of the signing wall. I wanted to try to make it more about including people than just telling them in the off season and trying to sneak it by.
All right, this is a question. Remember now, we're the media. we're the enemy. I understand that. Will there be, with a new nickname, without divulging what it's going to be, any relevance at all to the relationship with the Cardinals?
Yeah, one of the top questions yesterday that surprised me from fans was what's going to happen to Louis. And that was something that, I kind of talked to our staff and I thought it would be a question. Like, I don't think they'll ask about Louis. And they did. And when I did talk to fans, like what I said is like, we are still a AA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals and Louis will still be a part of our marketing mix. And that's, I also had fans saying, what are we supposed to do with the Springfield Cardinals gear? And my answer was wear it. We don't want to run away from this. I hope people still wear it. I'm going to wear my Springfield Cardinals gear. That's been a part of our history. And, I do always think of it as a book. You flip the pages, you change. And if it wasn't for Hammond's, the stadium wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for Hammond's, there's no Route 66 stadium. If it wasn't for the Springfield Cardinals, we wouldn't be looking at this new brand. I don't think we should run from it. I think we should embrace it. I hope people keep their gear and I hope they wear it proudly.
Dan, we appreciate you coming on, but you're missing a great promotional opportunity. How about a death and burial of Louis out in center field at the last home game? I mean, there's an opportunity,
As much as I love partnering with Green Lawn, I still couldn't do that to my favorite bird there. I couldn't do it to him.
And you were saying wear your merchandise proudly, and of course, more importantly, buy your merchandise because there's going to be some Springfield Cardinals limited gear that you're going to be selling the next 2 or 3 weeks, right? Out of your shops and everything.
And it is a part of the farewell. And I knew this was coming at Christmas time and we did some, Springfield Cardinals Christmas ornaments and I bought every single one of them, because that's something, and I'm serious, because it's something that when I put up my Christmas tree, I want to see those Springfield Cardinals ornaments. I am a sentimental guy. And I think that this concept of a farewell, on our promotional schedule, first of all, this has been out there since March that we were doing this press conference yesterday. But we actually have 4 giveaways that are meant to be like commemorative Springfield Cardinals items. And the cap we're giving away on Saturday, it's a red cap that has a side patch has like a cool logo that commemorates 2005 to 2026. We're going to give away a Cardinals jersey, from Great Southern Bank that's going to have that same cool patch on the sleeve. For the first, I think about 10 years, we did commemorative coins. So we're bringing back a commemorative coin that has that, logo on it. And then the last game of the season, we're going to have commemorative tickets and they're going to have holders like a baseball cold holder where people can put them in. And then even people at the game, we're actually going to have like a commemorative sticker that they can go in the team store and put that sticker, on top of the ticket. And so this, to me, it's like, I really did want to make it where people had an opportunity to know, to celebrate, because I had great memories with the Springfield Cardinals and I think a lot of other people in this region do too.
Jake Jamer would love it if you followed through with Perger's idea.
Hey, we appreciate it, Dan, and we'll touch base with you on that final homestand as well.
All right. Sounds great, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dan Reiter visiting with us. Timeout. Back in a second. And the starting lineup is brought to you by Play It Again Sports, by Swing Right Golf, by Citizens Bank of Rogersville, and by Marshfield Chevrolet. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
And a special guest.
Special guest. It's that time of year, volleyball season starting up this weekend. They've already had some exhibitions. And, of course, new coach over at Drury University is a familiar face. We welcome in Kelly Richardson. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, you guys all ready to go? I think you better be because it's this weekend, right?
Right. I guess the official answer is we're as ready as we are going to be and can be, but we're very excited to kick off this weekend.
What have you done in terms of exhibitions to prepare for the actual season openers this weekend?
Yeah, so we've had 2 different exhibitions so far. Last weekend, or I guess 2 weekends ago, we had a home tournament, had like 6 other teams come in and spent all day, very long day, Saturday, playing. And then this past weekend, we actually traveled up to Central Missouri, and we kind of did like a MIAA GLVC preseason crossover. So that was really good, and, got a lot of great touches, some good looks at some different opportunities on the court for some lineups. And, we kick off Friday, so we're ready to go.
Kelly, how new is your team in terms of players?
Yeah, so we have 11 returners, and so we have 9 newbies coming with us. So, it's a little over half of returners. A lot of them, have played with each other. We have a good local base going as well, though. So a lot of familiar faces and a lot of people that are very comfortable on the court with each other. So it's a good mix.
You start off with the Drury Invitational this Friday and Saturday over at the O'Reilly Center. Kind of tell us about who's coming and who are your opponents in this event.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great tournament. We're really excited. We're going to kick off Friday at 1:00 against Minot State. So they're coming from up north. Then we'll also have Southern Nazarene is going to be here, Texas A&M International, and then Newman. So it's a really good balance of some, different conferences, different places from different areas. And, we'll see a lot of good volleyball and a lot of different types of styles of volleyball as well. A couple of those teams have new coaches. Texas A&M, I think, only has 3 returners coming back from their roster. So, we have a very limited scout report. We'll see what they look like when we get here. But, I think everybody's just really excited to get it going.
Kelly, with your affiliation with club volleyball and your local ties and so forth, are most of your new recruits from around here, or have you gone nationwide?
So we have 5 freshmen, and then we have a couple transfers who came in as well. 4 of our freshmen are local. They are from Camdenton, West Plains, and Nixa. And then we do have another freshman who is from Liberty Hill, Texas, so right outside of the Houston area. So she's from quite a ways away. We do have a transfer who came in. She's from the Minneapolis area. Reagan Body came over from Missouri State, so she's an Ozark product. Sydney Walker is from Illinois. She's a JUCO transfer. So we do have a really good local group that is here. And then we also have some other players just mixed up from around the country who are also coming in and bringing a lot of depth and just really good things to our program.
Yeah, looking up and down that roster, lots of Nixa and Stratford and Cassville and kind of all over the Ozarks there. You've been around this area forever, growing up here. You've coached at the Division I level. With what we see every fall with high school volleyball in the area, and you see it all year in club, this is an area where you can kind of stay put here at home and get a lot of your talent, is it not?
It is, and this is just a huge shout out to all the high school programs because volleyball here in Southwest Missouri has just exploded here in the last, many years. And I just think it's a true testament to how much talent we really have here in the Ozarks. It's really exciting. And these high school coaches have poured into these kids and their programs and have built something so strong. And then, that makes it very exciting for us at the next level to go get those kids and let that continue on. And what a great opportunity for those kids to represent, their college programs here in their hometown where people can come and they can support and watch them. So we love that community base and support. And so we're so thankful for such strong high school volleyball here in our area. And we can't wait to go showcase that out this weekend.
Now, with Papa having most of his influence in baseball, does he have any knowledge of volleyball at all?
Okay, so if you talk to him, he's going to tell you that my very first pepper partner was him, that he was the one out teaching me how to play a little volleyball. So I'll give him the props on that. I better shout out to him too. I mean, it is Papa's birthday today. So if you haven't told him happy birthday today, you better let him know he's, however many years young today.
Yeah, 51, I believe, today, if you ask him, right?
Yeah, I think it's not a day over 51, so I think we're doing good.
You did have time at the Division I level. How much different are things now coming back to collegiate coaching with the transfer portal? And I don't know, has NIL filtered down to D2 volleyball? Do you get asked about that by recruits? Kind of take us through the landscape now and how it's different from your past.
Yeah, so it is a lot different. The last time when I was at Western Illinois, the transfer portal had not happened yet. So I got to navigate it in the recruiting process as I was coaching club and helping get players recruited. The transfer portal, a lot of people talk about the impacts that makes on programs. I think one of the biggest impacts that people don't realize that it makes is on high school recruits and how they are recruited. It is just and that's getting bigger by the year, with the new fifth year piece too. It just it's one of those things where it has just kind of changed everything about the game. And so it's been different getting in now as a college coach and kind of navigating that. There are definitely good things about it, and there are things that it just kind of is what it is and how it came with it. But we're working through that. Obviously the biggest thing right now is the fifth year ad and that clearing through the NCAA, which did come down through Division II as well. So we're all in those talks and talking with our athletes and figuring out who's gonna want to take those fifth years. We're just kind of navigating as it goes. I feel like the NCAA landscape right now, changes by the day, by the minute. And so, we're figuring it all out.
If you have a pro volleyball player, hey, bring her back, because of the way the courts are going now. Good gracious.
I'm telling you, it's kind of wild. I was telling my dad the other day, I was like, man, can I go apply for my fifth year? I want to come back. So.
The GOVC this year, what does it look like? Where were you guys picked in the preseason poll, and how do you feel about who are the top teams in the league?
Yeah, so we're still waiting for that poll to finalize. We did our voting last week. I checked it last night, and it hadn't come out as of yet. I don't know if it's dropped this morning, but we have some very traditionally strong teams in the GLVC. It's a very strong conference. UMSL always at the top of that. Rockhurst, Quincy has had a really good run here in the past couple years. So there's a lot of strong competition in the GLVC. That was a big part of us going to UCM last Saturday to get those touches with MIAA schools. We felt like that was going to really prepare us very well for conference and the type of play that we're going to see. So the MIAA and the GLVC are two exceptionally strong conferences in the country.
Going from back two at the college ranks, does that limit your influence at all, or coaching in the club level?
So it doesn't. At the D2 level, there's not as many restrictions with that. So I am able to continue doing both, which is nice. There are components to that of being able to stay involved with the high school circuit of that and being able to continue building those relationships, especially in our local community with the volleyball players. So, I'm very excited about the opportunity to be able to continue that. We've got a really good balance, though. I've got just the most amazing group of directors with our club volleyball, and they do a fantastic job, and we all kind of lean on each other through that process.
Yeah, you might have Nyla send an email to the league office, tell them a preseason poll is actually a preseason poll. Not a 1 weekend poll there, but I was still checking the website. Yeah.
I every day I've been getting on there to get ready and see it. And I'm like, in a minute, it's okay. Listen, we're just rolling with it. It's all good. It's everyone's busy. It's gonna be okay.
Well, speaking of rolling with it, before we let you go, I know a big week in the Richardson household. For those who don't know, your husband Rob is the defensive coordinator at Nixa High School for the football team. He doesn't get excited at all about any game, does he? And get pumped up. But what's he been like this week around the house with Carthage coming in Friday night? I
was going to say, you've never seen him, getting fired up and bouncing around that football field, right?
Yeah, his vertical's about 50, isn't it, during a 3 and out?
Listen, I think people don't really understand. Like, when we started having kids, I was like, I really hope they get my husband's vertical, not mine, because he's for sure the one with the vert. No, he's very excited, per normal, Nixa football, they just pour so much time and energy into that program. And, this is same as it always is. He's been on his computer doing scout, doing film, talking about, all the different things. It's kind of fun because even though we coach different sports, we come home from practice every day and we talk with each other about, hey, this is what happened in practice. This is the interactions that I had here. This is what I'm excited about here. Here's where I'm really focusing on for tomorrow. And we get to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Sometimes it's probably we give each other feedback that the other one doesn't want, and we just kind of like roll eyes and roll with it. But it is what it is, and it's kind of fun having another coach in the house. We all kind of know how to interact with each other.
Well, a little tease: I taped my podcast for Around the Ozarks Sports Scene last night with Adam McKnight. It comes out at midnight tonight. Adam said he would love to play some linebacker for your husband, but I don't think Coach Perry's very fond of that idea of his quarterback going over there on the other side of it.
I definitely don't see that happening, but I will pass that on.
Yeah,
because
I think your husband has passed it on a little bit too there. But anyway, so well, Kelly, best of luck in your first season at Drury. Looks like you got about a 20-player roster. You got a lot to choose from, and it's kind of cool seeing a lot of local names that we've seen for years there as well too.
Absolutely, everybody come out to the O this weekend. It's going to be a fun one.
Very good. Good luck. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you. Go Panthers. See you guys.
You bet.
Kelly Richardson visiting with us. We'll take a timeout on the starting lineup and be right back. Thanks for being with us. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier. And we got a little bonus coverage from Art Hains on the line. Good morning, Art.
Morning, guys.
He'll be joining us, of course, for the full second hour. But, Art, we had 2 or 3 minutes here, and we got an interview coming up. Wanted to get your thoughts on the Springfield Cardinals press conference last night announcing their impending name change.
Well, I think it did have to do with copyright issues now that the St. Louis Cardinals no longer own the team and they want to go out on their own and have a new identity and sell some more merchandise. But they're still going to be the AA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals. I think that's the important thing.
Yeah, and you look at your team, the Royals. Springdale's never been the Northwest Arkansas Royals. They've always been the Naturals, but everybody just knew they were the Royals affiliate. And I think that's what people will have to adapt to here. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And, my thought immediately last night is, well, they're going to be the 66ers. But turns out there's an Inland Empire 66ers in the California League, so that's taken. So I guess we'll have to wait till October 6th.
Somebody, and you guys know this better than I do about the Cobras. That was the name, Ned, back in.
That would be the snake hunt that they had here in the early 1950s. But that was so, in regards to the chronology of it, just over a period of time, I don't really think that would have the impact. But who knows? They've already decided.
And I wasn't familiar that, I think obviously it's not going to be the Cashew Chickens probably or the Snipe Hunters because they've kind of done that with some of the things they've done. But it's been decided there's not going to be any name the team. Who did the name the team? Was that the Ducks?
I think that was the Ducks, yes.
Yeah, where fan input was going to help decide that. But, and again, we've pointed out and Dan pointed out that, others have done this long before they have and kind of gone with I guess you'd say, neutral name in terms of their affiliation. But it's about selling merchandise, and now announcing it now obviously is about capitalizing on the last, month of the season with postseason and trying to move some Springfield Cardinals gear as well.
Yeah, indeed so. So, I know there are some that are and will continue to be upset by the loss of the Cardinal branding. But that's kind of like you say, the way of the world in minor league baseball these days.
And the fact that it has happened so quickly over a period of time, the changes involved, certainly doesn't resonate in a positive sense with many of the fans. And it's an older population, let's face it, and older folks don't like to change all that much. But it is what it is.
The changing of the name from Hammond's Field is still sticking in some people's craws.
Yes,
this
it
is
is
like a 1-2 punch.
It was a lot to process.
It is in mine.
It is, and mine as well,
yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's take our timeout, and we'll talk more about this later on in the second hour.
We have arrived at the mid-show timeout on the starting lineup. We'll take our mid-show break and then back with more. Please stay right where you are.